Absolutely, you're going to be okay. It doesn't seem like it in the moment. You're in a fog. The person you're divorcing is not the person you married, but it's going to be okay. Your children are going to be okay. They just need a stable parent or hopefully two parents, right? In that path after divorce that is going to guide them. You're coming out of this divorce. You can do whatever you want now. Amy was actually the person that helped myself and my ex-husband figure out a fair and equitable approach to the financial part of our divorce.
Good morning. We are blessed this morning with Gisela, our wonderful consultant here at Checky Financial. And I can't wait for her to tell you her story and why you should really listen to her and call her and engage her. So Gisela, with that in mind, tell us what heck it is you do
Yeah, hi.
and why you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for the introduction. My name is Gisela Herver. I have been in the accounting field and business for over a little bit over 2 decades now. I started my career in public accounting, as I think a lot of our students graduating from the University of Texas, Hook'em Horns School of Business do. That's right. And then I just kind of followed the corporate path to accounting that most people do, I think. In 2023, I started a different type of journey towards a divorce. And at that point in time, I learned all about the field and the people that work in my, in my career path. And
That'd be
I was
right.
to come across Amy Adler Consulting, Amy Adler Divorce Financial Consulting, Amy Adler Consulting. Amy was actually the person that helped myself and my ex-husband figure out a fair and equitable approach to the financial part of our divorce. And that was my first introduction to her. And I did tell her at that time, I think what you do is great. I think what you're doing to help people is something I wish I'd known, about previously so I could have told people about it. You know what? One day I'm going to reach out and maybe we can talk about how I might be able to come and work for you. And that was about 3 years ago. That was 3 years ago. And it's one of those things where the planets align and things happen in the universe and everything just kind of came together at the right time when Amy was looking to focus on the educational side of her business and wanted to hand over the operating side of the business to someone new who had a similar background, and that was myself. Amy is also a graduate of the University of Texas, so all Longhorns in the house.
However, you do not have to have gone to the University of Texas down
No,
in Austin. You could have even gone to a delightful private school up in Fort Worth called TCU, where I went a million years ago, back when it was a small school. However, you have no particular prejudice against other university graduates, I'm sure.
not at all.
Ah.
Not at all.
Well, what is one of your favorite client stories?
I particularly like working. I think we talked about this before, but I particularly like working with engineers. They are very detailed-minded folks. They want to get their ducks in a row before they hand over their baby to us to work on. And so it's great. We don't have to speak the same language. We don't have to both be accountants, but having kind of that detail-minded scope. I really enjoy working with engineers for that reason. But I also like the kind of the personal side of the business and talking to people, listening to their stories, understanding what their goals are. So I also, really like working with folks who are willing to open up that vulnerability on their side and, develop a rapport with them and just really share some of the similarities maybe that we're facing. I get a lot of clients that, and I'm sure they experience this maybe speaking with attorneys, but they're not really quite sure what the person on the other side, how much they're going to understand their situation. So when I get someone that says, "Oh, this is happening," I say, I can't believe it actually, and I'll tell you why. And sometimes I share a little bit more of my personal divorce journey with them, and I think that really makes a difference.
Person have been married, divorced, married and widowed, and married, and have lost a couple of family members, including 2 children.
Mhm.
And we have lots of engineering clients. Tell us how you work with engineers. Even though you enjoy doing it, tell us how you actually handle that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the biggest thing is to just kind of remind them that although they are the people that know the best about their personal finances, we have an approach that maybe sometimes they might not have thought about in coming up with their own numbers. So that is probably one of the biggest challenges. And I think that's the case with dealing with any clients is, they have a picture in their head of this is the outcome that I know I'm going to get, but then actually applying the law, applying the rules around the accounting side, the financial side, it can yield a very different result. And so it's very important to share, be very transparent about the path. And I think that definitely helps me with clients specifically who want to be more involved in the details of the work that we're doing for them. Is just kind of along the way explain to them, these are the options, or you know what, this might not be the juice might not be worth the squeeze. And so maybe we need to deviate a little bit from that. Going through divorce, it's a very emotional time for people. And one of the things that we strive to do is to, take the emotion out of some of the biggest decision making that any of our clients are going to make. It's going to impact them for years. It's going to impact their families for years and other people around them as well, their ex-spouses. So I really work to try to walk through our clients, specifically those that are detail minded, through as much as I think that they need to understand without over engineering or over complicating the situation.
You draw charts and graphs or pictures or just wave your hands and try and be convincing.
Well, sometimes it is show and tell. Sometimes it is let me show you what I'm working with, and we go through the details. And again, working with very detail minded people, they kind of hone in on that. They enjoy that. They want to see something tangible on a screen. And then we have folks that just want kind of like a 10,000-foot approach of explain to me how this works and how it could come out for me in this scenario without going too much into
Put it
the
in
detail.
plain English. People keep asking us this simple question:
Mhm.
Am I going to be okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely, you're going to be okay. It doesn't seem like it in the moment. You're in a fog. You're, maybe in a contentious relationship with someone that you didn't never thought was going to be like that. I mean, the thing we keep hearing from attorneys and ourselves personally, those of us who have gone through this, is the person you're divorcing is not the person you married, but it's going to be okay. Your children are going to be okay. They're going to be okay with less things, with a smaller house, with, they just need a stable parent or hopefully two parents, right? In that path after divorce that is going to guide them. So it's going to, personally, you're going to be okay. And I'm sure financial planners will tell you this as well. You know what? You're coming out of this divorce. You can do whatever you want now. Whatever you want to do in the future, dream it. We'll help you plan it out and head in that direction. You can do whatever you want. So that to me is actually the most exciting part about coming out on the other side. Is now you are yourself, your own person. You can change careers. You can, aim for that house in Costa Rica that you always wanted to save up for. Whatever the case might be, it's your life and you can manage it the way that you want now.
My darling wife, Susie, and I have discussions like that because I tan very easily, and Susie is as white as snow. Therefore, craving the sun is not something that's on her dance card, but she
Yeah.
enjoys going to the beach and somehow finding an umbrella under which she can actually sit. So
Yeah.
how long have you been successfully divorced now?
It has been 2 years since my divorce was final, about 2 years since it was final, and about 3 years since we started going down the process of that. And, I never imagined I would be doing what I'm doing now. So that was kind of the diamond in the rough as part of that process, right? I have a great career. I enjoy helping people. My ex-husband is doing well. My children are doing well. I think, again, that goes back to the question of, are you going to be okay? Yeah, absolutely. You're going to be okay.
And so far, what's the most difficult case on which you've consulted?
I think I've had a couple, and I think what makes them difficult isn't so much the work; it's the outcome, and having to come back and help a client understand that the outcome that they hope for just isn't there. It's you're spending quite a bit of your hard earned money on attorneys and on folks like us that help you with the financial decisions that you're going to make. But we have to also be responsible in our profession of making that call and bringing that up to our clients. It's a hard conversation. Absolutely. Could I continue to do this work for another 12 hours and have a greater earning potential? Yes. Does it benefit my client? Absolutely not. So, part of the job, the most challenging part of my job, I think, is really having to express to clients that, this isn't going to work out. But, let's maybe talk about other options or go back to your attorney and maybe they have other solutions. It's not always black and white. It can definitely
And when
be.
you say options, you're not talking about an investment. You're talking about different choices.
Absolutely, absolutely. Options on what to do with an asset, how to split assets. There are ways to get creative. Great attorneys will also tell you that as part of a settlement or a mediation, you can come up with a solution. Absolutely.
Would you mind sharing us the happiest divorce case story you have?
I think so far is being able to find for clients assets that maybe they hadn't considered as they were going through the process. I mean, we think about it with a forensic point of view of let's like dig around and figure out what else might be out there. Those are definitely the best cases for us where we have a client, they have again in their mind these parameters that they're working with, and then we uncover something else as part of a process. Like this asset that was sold, it was actually invested here, and now it's grown to this much. But you didn't think about that. So that for us is really what we try to look for as well, or even just trying to head off any potential complications, right? Of, well, we looked at your tax returns. We also noticed this. By the way, you might want to take that back to your attorney because this is something that you can use in mediation, to leverage an outcome that you want, or maybe to head off a potential risk. Those I think, are the best cases that we have where we find something a nugget that we weren't looking for necessarily when we began.
That happens in our line of work sometimes, and it's funny. The client will say, "Oh yeah, and I also have," and it can sometimes be a large number in the, "Oh yeah, there's some other investment somewhere else that
Mhm.
they somehow forgot about in the process." So it's interesting when that takes place.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's why just talking to them and being in communication with your client is so important. It's like, I remember getting a piece of advice when I was going through business school or early on in my career of, take someone out to lunch, forget the emails, take someone out to lunch, talk to them, because they'll start telling you things that maybe, weren't top of mind when they initially had that conversation with you. But now they're telling you, oh, that's right. I also have this, or my ex-husband had this going on. What do you think that could be? You're pulling kind of at those threads and pulling bits of information that could end up helping, the outcome of your case in a way
And
that.
some folks we found act very differently in a restaurant than they do in our office.
Yes, absolutely. You just kind of loosen up and you see people around you chatting. Sometimes there's families there. It just creates an environment more conducive to having an open conversation, I think, and a level of comfort that you might not
And
have.
describe for us your ideal client.
Ideal clients, I think our ideal clients, and I don't speak just for myself, but for one of my other business associates as well, are forensic clients. It's not, I think it takes a special kind of person to want that. But our forensic clients that ask us to look for something that they don't know what it is and we find it, it's great, digging through all the financials and tax returns. It's a scavenger hunt. It's a treasure hunt, is what we like to think of it as. And I know not everyone likes that kind of work, but we particularly enjoy it. We love our forensic clients that we have, and we deal with
Personally, earlier in my career, I spent half a dozen years doing exactly what you just mentioned on a
Yeah.
criminal tax case with
Yes.
23 counts of tax fraud.
Mhm.
I know what forensic things are. Why don't you tell the rest of the world what you mean when we say forensic engagement?
Yeah, absolutely. So it could take a different kind of manner of forms, but typically for us, we are searching for assets or accounts or something that you might think is maybe there, but you're not entirely sure. So in some cases, we have clients that note amounts of cash leaving a checking account that they share with the spouse, and they notice a pattern, or they notice that there's maybe four numbers of an account that they're not familiar with. So now they're hiring us to say, I've noticed these fluctuations. What could they potentially be? So then now it's our job, along with the help of an attorney, and subpoena these types of documents to figure out, where are those funds of flows going to. It could be LLCs, it could be bank accounts, it could be a whole separate property, maybe that our clients didn't know about, especially when you have folks that one side of the couple is always in charge of the finances and the other isn't. It's really not that challenging sometimes to keep assets away from one of the parties when we have someone with the financial control to do that. So yeah,
As long as they actually report their income and transactions on their beloved tax return as well.
that's right. Or sometimes they don't, and those that tend to be the more fun. I think where you find something that no one knew about. It's sitting somewhere in an LLC in a different country, or there's some sort of a complex tax structure in between. It's almost like a shell game, and those are even, I think, even more fun and challenging for us, obviously. But we enjoy doing that kind of work. It's like
So you have a
fun
unique
moment.
definition of fun, don't you?
Yes, I do, I do, and it always involves spreadsheets. I think.
So how did you get your passion for spreadsheets, if you don't mind sharing that story?
I was a baby accountant back in high school, so in high school, before we even had, spreadsheets and Excel was such an ubiquitous tool for us. My form of fun in high school was that I was in UIL accounting, which is it's really nerdy, but I liked it. And so back then, that's when I got a sense for what I wanted to do. So I was one of those very, very, very rare people that go to, 4-year institution or post secondary institution that already knows what they want to be. So I wanted to be an accountant. I initially wanted to be just an educator, but then I really honed in on accounting in high school. So I was that kid. And then just, you know, the school that I went to had a great program for really empowering students to be ready for that, that post college career. And I learned all of my shortcuts in Excel and, all the various things that you can do on a keyboard. I learned all of that in college, but I love sorting through spreadsheets and figuring out problems or issues. And now with the use of AI as well, that has gotten a little bit easier. There's still the human touch that's needed, right? But it's great. It's been a great advent.
Remember once I was describing to a client of ours, but I really enjoyed reading this particular annuity prospectus. And they said, thank God you find that interesting, because the rest of us fall asleep
No.
on page 2.
That's right.
So congratulations on being born to be an accountant. I've been a certified public accountant for 50 years back in February. And I did it for a very different reason. Because back in the 1970s, I was told that if you became a certified public accountant, you had instant credibility.
That's right.
I also discovered that most attorneys can't do math. So it's really helpful when you do spreadsheets for them, because you can see their eyes roll to the back of their head.
That's right. Yeah. And we have to make our product as well friendly, not just to our clients, but also to attorneys. You've got, you have people sitting behind a bench at trial that they know the law inside and out, but they might not necessarily know how to navigate what we've put together. So we've got to make sure that, it's friendly, it's understandable by all, and that it's clear.
And what do people most misunderstand about what you do?
I think this applies maybe to just CPAs in general. I think the first thing that people think of is taxes. My CPA, your CPA, our CPA is all they do is do taxes. So, we get a lot of inquiries about that of, can you help me with this tax return? Can you help me amend the tax return? But the scope of what we do is just so broad. It can be something like valuating a pension for a client, and maybe that is a singular thing that they need, or it can be something like setting up a budget, helping them with their post-divorce life and figuring out, what do I need to be conscious of as I'm negotiating child support, as I'm negotiating asset division? What do I need to think about for my life 1, 2, 3 years after divorce, and what I actually need? So a big part of what we do that's misunderstood is that, we also are helping clients with the softer side of what they're going to be doing in life. And we have to be understanding of that, right? So I can show you a budget and a spreadsheet. It can be very granular and black and white, but if it's not conducive to the type of lifestyle that you want or you think you'll need for your children, then you're missing out a big part of the client service that we're providing. So we're not just number crunchers. We're also here to listen to what you actually need and make sure that that's conducive to the type of product that we're.
Do extravagant expenditures ever come up during discussions?
Yes, they do. And so there are those difficult conversations of, perhaps this is an area that you might consider adjusting your spending, right? So we're not here to judge. We all have the things that we like in life, whether it's buying purses or going on vacations, whatever. We're not here to do that. We're here to take the emotion out of our financial planning and say, okay, I understand that you want to keep your 5,000 square foot, home on 10 acres with a pool and a spa and all this, but now you're going from 2 incomes to 1. So what do we need to think about when it comes to negotiating your mediation? I mean, maybe you can keep all of that, but also let's have some realistic conversations about what to expect, especially if you have couples that are divorcing with children. Children grow, they need things. They get travel ball, they do, all of these things that you don't think about when they're toddlers. So that they're doing later on. Yeah.
Doing the projections that you referenced earlier is vitally important to what you just described, is the lifestyle that somebody wants, whether they're going through a divorce or not. It's okay. This is where your income is, your investments, your expenses.
That's right.
Where do you want your dream life to be in the future and today? And then running the numbers to be able to say, okay, you're on track. keep enjoying the lavish dinners, or other people that are like, you're not there yet. So if you want to get there, here are some steps to get there. So definitely important conversation for clients on both sides.
Have you found that some older couples are starting to get divorced right after retirement?
Gray divorces are certainly more common now than they have been in the past. It's interesting because there's there could be various reasons for that. Some of it is I'm retired, my children are out of the home, and we don't have the same goals that we thought we were going to have post retirement. Someone decided that they want to try to move to Florida. Someone else wants to buy a home overseas and maybe live as an expat. And those things are major decisions that don't always align on. Even if you saved up for something like that, in the past 40 years that you were married, whatever it might be, when you get there, you might decide like, hey, I don't want to be retired living in this type of, home, or I don't want to live here. I want to do something different. And that's where, that misalignment can sometimes lead to divorces and that late stage. And some
And
folks
how do you coordinate these discussions with their financial planning team?
it really just depends on what the goals are. So we sometimes get questions that are really should be geared towards a financial planner. So and that's where we really make the distinction of we're here to help you with the numbers as they are and as we see them for the next, the short term. But we really need to get you in front of a financial planner to discuss, your future plans for the assets that you're walking away with, especially if we're, splitting retirement accounts, for example. They don't look the same before as they will now post divorce. So we have preferred partners that we work with or referral partners that we work with. So we will usually guide our clients in that direction. Or sometimes I'll have a very specific ask and we'll do a little bit of research on our end to figure out who the best person is that they should speak to. I know personally in my divorce, one of the first things I did was I spoke to a wealth management company, a different one than the one I'd been using, because all of a sudden my needs changed and the direction that I was going in was a different one that I had previously when I was married. So it's really important. That's a big part of, I think, the post divorce timeframe is speaking to a wealth management advisor to talk about what you want to do now.
What is the best compliment that you've received?
I think the best one has probably been this is so detailed. You put a lot of work into this. And I say that because we work behind the scenes most of the times. What we provide to our clients and our attorney partners is going to be a report. And it's a big summary. It's a summary of a lot of work that was done in the back end. And receiving a compliment like that is by far the biggest. I feel like we're seeing, right? Like someone saw all the work that I did to produce that 500-page document. And it involves a lot of detailed tracing of amounts in and out of spreadsheets. So to me, that's the best one. But also just having a client tell you, thank you so much. It was, what you did for us was a great help. Having the outcome that they wanted out of mediation or trial, that's always a compliment for us. And even better than that, I think, is having a referral. So, hey, so and so says that you helped them with their case. I'm reaching out because I'd like some help. So that really says a lot about the work that you do and the confidence and faith that people have in your work.
And what would motivate you to turn away a potential case?
Most of the time, it's really just time. We want to be realistic in what we can do for our clients. So if I have a client that has a case coming up in a month or even just a few weeks, we have to have that conversation of, well, we're not going to be able to produce for you what you need in that time frame. That's what would cause me to turn.
We are so busy that we cannot
really
help you get there from here.
But
It
so
looks
far,
like you're. Yeah, and in our case, JJ, tell us about our favorite clients and how we help our clients.
And definitely those who are coachable and teachable is the biggest part for us, because there's ways that we can help our clients and have some amazing strategies to be able to implement. But if this is the way I've always done it, and this is the way I want to do it, there's not much, if any, assistance that we can provide. On the opposite side, the best when I've had a conversation with a client last week and others of, we trust you, we hired you for this purpose, show us what we need to do and we'll go forward, which is the preferred, because they're coachable and teachable and realize they're experts at what they do. And retiring and preparing for retirement is not in their wheelhouse, but it's something we've been helping clients do for over 35 years.
Yeah.
And in terms of retirement income planning, I smile like that for this reason. Because most financial advisors have spent their entire career helping people accumulate money. And one of our expressions on our website, and you can see it at Checky Financial on YouTube, is we help people have fun and still have money. And you say, what the heck does that mean? It means that you have clients who have accumulated more money than they're ever going to be able to spend. Have a nice day. Say, honest to God, the next time you take a trip, rather than driving down for 6 hours, why not fly? And why not even fly in the front of the airplane just for comic relief, just to see what rich people do since you are a rich person? And go ahead and enjoy that. My wife and I came back from a vacation at a place called Carmel by the Sea. The next time we go someplace, we're going to spend 4 times as much money to fly in the front of the airplane so that there can just be 2 of us in the seats. And darn if I'm not going to my 60th high school reunion in September to Newark Airport and then go to Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey, right next to Hackensack. And we've spent 4 times as much money to go on that airplane because, honest to God, we're not going to live long enough to spend all our money. And like it says in the Bible, we'll be leaving a legacy to the next 2 generations. Have a nice day. And that came from advanced planning that Did and I set up some time back. So that's like guaranteed it's really going to happen. And you hardly can ever use the word in financial planning land of guaranteed, except when you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you feel fully recovered from your divorce yet?
I think, yeah, I absolutely have. It's taken a lot of great professionals to get there. I think one of the things that I learned as part of my research when I was trying to figure out who are the team of people that are going to help me as I go through this and post divorce coaches, financial planners, CDFAs like Amy Adler, CPAs, therapists, right? Therapists as well. There was just a whole realm of professionals that I had no idea existed. Folks that are specialized in real estate and brokerage for the purchase of homes. There are folks that are certified or specifically trained to help people going through divorces to help them rebuild their lives after. I mean, it's and I think all of that is really what helped me. It really did take a village. And so now when
sadly in Texas,
yeah.
Texas has always been famous for being a hotbed of divorce. And I know this is true because before I came down here in 1967, I was working in a chemistry laboratory in Carlstadt, New Jersey. One of the guys who worked in the lab really was a professional baseball player who played professional baseball for the Army, and now he's about to go to a college, and even showed us the contract that he had with them. Even though it was amateur, he was going to get paid, get an apartment, and get a car. And he said in advance, "You're going to Texas, right?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, when you go down there, and you're going to meet some cute as a button girl, and she's already been married 2 or 3 times, has 2 kids, and is looking for her next husband. So be careful. And son of a gun, since we have no fault divorce down here, it's rapidous in terms of how many people get divorced. No kidding. So what advice would you give somebody who just finished up getting a divorce, but they didn't have the good sense to hire you to go through that process?"
I would say take all of the time, be choosy. Be choosy, you know what you like, you know what you don't like, you know what worked and what didn't work. If you're looking for a romantic partner, be choosy. And just take some time. Find who you were before your marriage, before you had children. Don't lose that person again because that's the person that's going to get you through the next, years of your life. And if you decide that you want to have a partner in the future, do not lose that person in that marriage either. It's having a partner that can have their own interests and hobbies. That is so important in a marriage. And so I think some folks go into a marriage or into having children all in, and that is now the focus of their purpose in life. So don't lose the person that you were prior to. You'll find them again after your divorce. Don't lose them again. That person is going to be happy, is going to be a better parent and better spouse in the future. So hang on to them.
While you were going through your divorce process, the 3 years that it took to go do that, what was the best advice that you would like to share that was given to you that was most helpful to you?
I think it was really the person you're divorcing is not the person that you married. It's very easy to maybe frame that person in the same light, and you'll say, you'll say it over and over, is, "I can't believe they did this. They're saying this to me." that person is not the same as the person you met years ago. They changed. And now, you, as sad as it may seem, you may not be the priority in their decision making anymore. So don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. It's just part of the process. But I had to keep that in mind when I was trying to go through mediation, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my children, how to work things out with my attorney in terms of what was going to go into my decree. I had to keep that in mind, that I now am not connected to this person like and also just for your own personal healing, right? You just have to remember that that person is in the past, or is going to be in the past, and for at least for a while, they might still be in your life. But at one point, they might not be as prevalent if you don't have children to share with them in co-parenting. But yeah, just consider that as you're going through your divorce.
And just for fun, if you could have a dinner with 3 people, alive or dead, do you have any thoughts on who you would choose to be with you for that dinner?
Alive or dead, I would absolutely pull one of my previous one of my grandparents out of their slumber to do that. My family on my mother's side, they grew up in a very challenging environment in rural Mexico. So I'd love to be able to pick that person's brain and understand everything that they lived through that I'll never live through. So that would absolutely be one person. I also want to meet the people that just came up with some of these laws that we have to deal with on the divorce side when we have to figure out how we're going to best serve our clients. Like, what were you thinking, and with some of these things that you were putting on paper? Because boy, it has really made our court system and our attorneys and our clients, given them real headaches when trying to figure out what's best for their families. And then last, as terrible as it sounds maybe to some people, but just, have a sit down dinner and talk to my ex-husband. Just, be very frank about what happened. And that's mainly only for, just to try to figure out like where did things go wrong, or what could have been better, right? Because I don't take any of what happened lightly and say that it was all of his fault or all of my fault. It was, things happen for a reason, but just trying to understand that better, because maybe that's something that could help our children in the future as I provide them with their own advice and as they go into marriage or into relationships. What are the things that could have been helpful?
You have an extravagantly unique point of view. You're the first person who ever mentioned their ex-spouse as maybe somebody that like to really sit down and something out. Though JJ's mom had negotiated our divorce within 20 minutes, and we had enough money to pay off all our debts, and we sold the house at a tremendous profit. Walked away with more money than most people ever dreamed of walking away with in Texas, even though we only owned the house for 2 years. And we remained friends throughout it. But I can tell everybody in the audience, getting a divorce does not do your children any favors, no matter how conscientious you are in raising them. So if you can avoid it, I'm sorry to say, I'm going to suggest not going through it if you can't, being toxic. Why don't you take a minute or so to tell everybody why they should call you if they're going through what you've already been through and became an expert on?
Yeah, of course. We are here to listen to you, to listen to your needs, and help you develop a clear path financially for your future and get you the fair shake that you deserve, that I think everybody deserves, in a way that is amicable and that makes sense not just for you but for your children and even your ex-spouse. It sounds like that's not what you should be interested in, but you should be. This is someone that might be the father or the mother of your children, so we want them to succeed in life as well for their benefit. If you would like to get in touch with us, my name is Gisela Herver. You can find us at yourdivorceasset.com, or you can email me directly at gisela@yourdivorceasset.com. That is GISELA. We would be more than happy to have a consult with you and discuss what your needs are and what you would like for your future.
So thank you for sticking with us to the end and for this time today.
We look forward to seeing you sooner than later. This is John Checkie along with JJ and Giselda. And honest to goodness, we wish you a happy, healthy day.